Hey there, it's Elizabeth, and welcome back to another Ramble session. I hope y'all are doing well, and I hope you had a great weekend. We spent our weekend out and about for Sunshine and his new place. We went over there and, put some stuff away. We had gotten some, what's it called, like paper goods and things like that. We haven't gone, or he hasn't gone food shopping yet because he's not quite ready to move in yet. So we got that stuff and did a few little things over there. There's still some painting to do, and there is still what's it called? Cleaning. Yeah, I have to like really clean the bathrooms because my husband did some sanding work in there, and so they're completely full of dust. So I have to go over there and do that. And then update on Big Handsome. He did have his gallbladder removed last week, and the surgery went very well. We were able to bring him home that day. So far, there is no change as far as pain or eating. The hospital didn't even give us like a diet or recommendation. They just said return to your regular diet. So I guess they didn't read the part where it says he doesn't have a diet. So anyway, but it's only been less than a week, so we're trying to be hopeful and trying to be patient, and let his body heal over the next few weeks and see where we are then. So let's talk about what is smack in front of your face right here. So this weekend, what I also did was I finally finished sorry for shaking you about, all of my 6 books for next year's daily creative journal. Yes, okay, so there they are in all their glory. They are all the Golden Book Illustrated Dictionaries. It is a series of 6 books. Each book holds 2 months, and I altered them, added a spine. I'll show you all that in a second. Yep, so they're all beautiful. They're all beautiful. And I purchased these from Brooke on Recreations by Brooke, so I will leave her link below. So let's get into this. I don't know, if how many of you have been on my channel for any length of time, but when I started journaling, I started journaling the Fobonichi way, and that is just a do-it-yourself Hobonichi. And over this year, I have changed, and I no longer do the Fobonichi. I now work in a junk journal. And the first junk journals I made for this year were altered composition books. I've always used altered composition books, but what I ended up doing was, this is my latest book, September and October, is I increased the spine. So the covers are a composition book. I took the innards out, I sewed in 2 signatures, and then I increased the spine and attached it with duct tape. So on these books here, I had originally purchased a set of books from Brooke that were a bit smaller. Here comes Fred. Excuse me. That were a bit smaller. And then when she and I were on a video chat one day, she said, "Oh, I have the perfect set that will work perfectly for you for your creative journal." And it was the set of these books. And these are great because they are the same width as a composition book and only about a half an inch taller. So I said, sure, let me buy those from you. I'll take those off your hands. And so I decided to use them, and it was perfect because it's a series of 6. And at the end of the year, I always have 6 books for my creative daily journal, because each book holds 2 months. Okay. So all the books are the same. And what I did was, the closure is just this piece of ribbon, plaid ribbon. A dear friend of mine, a Facebook friend of mine, had, we've been friends for years, so she's more than a Facebook friend, but anywho, she had sent me a bunch of ribbon that she wasn't using, so I used that for the closures of all the books, put little eyelets in, and that's how I did that. And then inside, let's just go inside here. I went ahead and completed all 6 books as far as getting all the signatures sewn in and including doing my pockets, right? So this is my February, and this first part here will be my January, right? And then there are 8 pages folded in half, okay, for each signature, because when you do 8 pages folded in half like this, it gives you 32 surfaces, which is, you need at least 31 days for the month. And then my 32nd page is always my pocket in the front. So I went ahead and did that for all of the books. Now you might be wondering why there's such a big space right here in the center. And I've shown you this before. I'll go ahead and put the link into how I make these books, and including how I make this ephemera holder packet thing with little pockets and everything. Now this goes right in here in the center, okay? So it looks like that from the top. My 2 sewn in signatures with the ephemera folder in the center. And the ephemera folder in the center can just be bound in, temporarily bound in with an elastic or something. And this holds the stuff that I would like to, some of the stuff that I would like to use within my book as I'm journaling through it. And so that's why there's this big space in the center here, so I can hold this book while I'm doing my daily journaling. And then as these pages get more full, there will no longer be space for this, so that in the end, I would have a book that looks like this, right? A full book full of 2 months of journaling, right? No ephemera pack in the middle, because as these signatures get, filled up with the ephemera and my daily events and all of that, then there's no more room, right? And then you don't need the ephemera pack anyway, because you've used it all, or used a bunch of it within your journaling pages. So this is the book made by Christy Biddleston, and I will put her link below. And so that's kind of how that went. So this weekend I did have time to sit down and sew in all the signatures, and let me show you how, or what I did. So on these books here, oh, and thank you so much for all of you who gave me suggestions on what to do with the spine, because I wanted to keep them, and this is what I ended up doing, right? I just glued it right in the center of the 2 signatures, and I used Fabri-Tac, and then at the bottom here, I used my label maker just to put 2020. I don't really need to put January, February, March, April, stuff like that, because each book is numbered. So I think it'll work out that way. And I think it'll work out great. So thank you for all of your suggestions. Okay, all right, we're back to this part right here. Okay, so what I did was I increased this spine 1 3/4 inch. My books for this year, 2019, I had only increased the spine 1.5 inches. And then when I was working in Christy's book, ouch, her spine was 1 3/4 inches, and I really like the thickness of that. So I went ahead with 1 3/4 inch spine. It's just made out of extra pieces of cardboard. And then what I did was I took this tape, it's bookbinding cloth tape. There are 45 feet on the roll. It is pricey, in my opinion. It's $25, but you get 45 feet of it, and it's 3 inches wide, which is plenty wide to just use one, piece of the tape. And what I did was I used about 21 or 22 inches per book. Okay, so what I did was down here, you can't really see, but down here at the bottom, I started the tape down at the bottom, and then I wrapped it around, right? And then ended it down here. So it's just one single piece of tape. So that's how I did that. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And then I used the waxed linen, okay? And I don't know if you remember in the last video, I told you I might not use the waxed linen again. Well, I learned a few things while I was working on this book that I wanted to change for the next book that I used. Okay, so one of the things, and I think I showed you this last week, was that center part right there. I didn't like how that came out, and it was just super hard to, fight with the thread and in the binding process and whatever. So what I did with my next book, well, when I was sewing these in, I used this awl right here, which is a very old awl. It's probably over 100 years old. And if you'll notice the tip of it, right? It's got a very, obviously, a sharp, pointy tip, but then it tapers down at this end, the pointy end, but then the shaft of it goes really thick. And obviously, I don't want a hole that big in my book. So then I looked around and I found this, which is We Are Memory Keepers. And this all is not like super duper thick. You know, the shaft of it isn't. So it doesn't make super duper huge holes. So then I started using this one for the remainder of my books, and it went swimmingly. So that's what I learned. Like, use a smaller awl, I guess, but use an awl where the pokey part is a little bit thicker than your needle, if that makes sense. Okay, so and then on these books as well, I did use wax linen, you know, on those. And it worked out so much better. So because I used, see the center there? It's not all jank, right? The holes aren't all janky, if you can see that. So I liked it so much better. And like I said, when I was sewing it, I didn't have to finagle the needle and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but when I was using this awl, I didn't want to poke it in too far because I didn't want the holes to be super huge, right? And so that kind of makes it inconsistent in some ways. But when I use this one, the awl is the same size, you know, the shank or the shaft, I mean, is the same size. So I could poke it all the way through and get consistent size holes so that my needle went through a lot more easily. I hope that made sense. So anyhow, with these books, they're all very plain. Another thing I did was I did reinforce most of the pages with washi tape because these are vintage books and you know, well, this isn't here, but some of the pages were really thin. So anyway, so I did that, and like these pages here, right? And I always use pages that open this way. Here's an example right here. I use big pages that open and are sewn into the original book, right? So I can take them out and all my words go up and down, right? Because I don't know how to explain it. I don't like folding it like this so that the words are going that way. I don't know, I'm weird. That's just the way I like it, which in all honesty, it doesn't really matter because I cover all this stuff up anyway. Anyhow, besides my weirdness, I use a page like this, then I cut it down to size and all that, and then I reinforce these center holes with a piece of washi tape. So that's how I do that. And I use just a variety of pages. I don't care what they have on them. I don't care, you know, I don't care because most of it will be covered up. Now, if I get to a page like this and I happen to like this picture, I'll just simply put a tip in for that day and use it that way so that I can just keep this picture if I want to. So, and then some of the pages, if they were too wide for the book and I didn't feel like cutting it off, I just simply folded it in. Now, what I can do later is put a bead of glue at the top and bottom and use this as a pocket, or I can extend the pocket, or I can simply tear this off or cut it off and just use the regular page, you know, whatever. And some of these I put my dyed papers in as well. These are very thin and flimsy, so I just add stuff on top or whatever. And then, like I said, I reinforced most of the pages with washi tape all the way through. Did all my pockets. Yeah, I like how these came out. The centers, using that awl, the different awl, with the consistent hole size worked a whole lot better. So, there. So I got all of my 6 books for next year all ready to go. And that was a lot of fun. Let's see. This is my book for September, October. I have not done anything in it. Surprise, surprise. Yes. Well, I mean, I have done one full page just because I felt like doing it that day. And so I sat down and did it. Otherwise, I have all my stuff in here ready to go, right? We had received an edible arrangement. That was very nice from my sister-in-law and her her boyfriend, so that was nice. And so yeah, so I need to work on these. I'm still working on my 3 books. I still have June, July, August, and September, yeah, to work on. I have pages done intermittently. That's just the way it goes. So then the other thing I did work on, just very briefly, is from all of the books that I made, I have all of these offcuts, right? Now, normally I don't save these at all. I chuck them all. But I thought, I looked over on my desk and I saw I had all of these offcuts from cardstock, white cardstock. And these came from when my daughter over the summer was printing out letters for her bulletin board. So I had all these cutoffs from that. And I thought these are the 2 things I'm going to do with them, right? So I had all of this whole pile of offcuts. So I made this little tag. And what I used first, which I didn't like, was this matte medium. Now, I like the matte medium, but I don't like it for gluing stuff onto tags. I think next time when I do the next one, I'm going to glue everything down with a glue stick and then either use matte medium or Mod Podge or whatever on top, right? I don't like using it as a glue, like when you're painting it on and then putting the paper on and then painting it over the top. It just makes it to me, it wrinkles it, and because it's so wet. So I think when I do another one, I'm going to just glue the strips on and then maybe Mod Podge over. I'm not really sure. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to make a whole bunch of these using up these scraps. And then I could always use the back for journaling. On the front, I can put whatever I want. And use them for tags. So for all the 6 books I have next year, I'll have a bazillion and 1 ready-made tags. The other thing I thought I'd do with these as well is get my jelly plate out and have some fun jelly printing on these tags. So yeah, I've got all those to do at some point in time. So yeah, I'll work on that at, whenever. I still need to, of course, do my journaling and all of that. I have been mostly keeping notes in my phone. So if I have blank pages, I have blank pages. I'm not going to fret over it. It's just been super busy here with my son and, just the health problems of everybody and my son moving into his new place, and we're still trying to get that ready for him to move in. So yeah, I just haven't had a lot of time. Either I haven't had time or I just haven't had the desire really to sit in here and journal. But I had started, making this book last week, I think it was. And so, yeah, I guess Saturday and Sunday I found myself with some time and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to whack out all 6 books and be completely ready for next year so I don't have to worry about any of it. It's all done. They're all ready to go. And that's that. What else? Then I went ahead and ordered from Amazon some tatting needles. And thank you very much for all of those that commented on my last Ramble session about the thread. Yes, it is tatting thread. I knew that. I don't know. I had a little brain problem for a minute. Anyway, let me see how many are in here. There are 4 in here of varying sizes, and they're just like long needles, blunt needles with an eye at the end. And so, yeah, I'm going to attempt to learn a new skill, a new art form. And tatting is like, it's like how to make lace, sort of, I suppose. I guess that's the easiest way to explain it. Obviously, a lot of you know what tatting is because you left comments on my last video that the thread that Selena from Amore Fabriques gave me, it's right here, that the tatting thread, this thread right here, right? Selena from Amore Fabriques had given me this to see what I could do with it. And so I went ahead and ordered the tatting needles, and I'm going to attempt to learn how to tat. If it is an impossibility for me, which it very well could be, I do have in here my very thinnest crochet hook. And so I think I might be able to crochet like a round or a little flower or some sort of embellishment to use, as an embellishment for junk journals or whatever. So I think that's all. And I thank you for sharing your time with me. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your day and a wonderful week. And if you have any questions about how I make my books, my altered books, or anything like that, they are super easy to make. Super easy to make. I will leave all the links below, not to how I made this particular book, but to how I make these books, okay? Which is the same exact thing. So yeah. You can check the links below. I'll not leave that there because of the glare. Yeah, check the links below. I'll have everything, all the links, to how I make my books and the ephemera folder and all of that. So check those out. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye.